Great. Today we are going to tackle um, a topic that is really very generic. It's inspiring the new teachers, excellence and ethics in teaching. At this point, may I know if we have first year teachers? Please type in the chat box zero if you have never taught before. This coming school year is going to be your first time to teach. One if you already taught last year, uh, and then whatever number of years you've been serving. 25 if you've been inside the classroom for 25 years. um, 10 if you've been teaching for 10 years. 5 if you've been teaching for 5 years. May I know? We only have one so far who put in zero. So um, that means Rayana is just preparing to teach for the first time. Raquel is on her second year as a teacher. Jel said 1 year. Geraldine is on her sixth year as a teacher. Very good. Great. So we have only one so far who put in zero, meaning to say this year is just going to be the first year that you will be teaching. We have five from Adrian, one from Marisol. Dep Ed Malilapati is five. Okay, great. That gives us a bit of an idea. So I suppose some of you are here in order to get ideas on probably how to help the first year teachers or the younger teachers. Although we are going to have another session on that next week on teaching as leadership, no, teachers as leaders, how to help your colleagues, your co-teachers in their task of teaching. Very well, we now go into our session on inspiring the new teachers, excellence and ethics in teaching. Um, those of you who joined us in the session on, um, let me see. Yes, we're recording. Very good. Those of you who joined us in the teaching on the nobility of the teaching profession, you're going to encounter again some of the slides that we took a look at because that's the only way to inspire new teachers, to make them realize the nobility of our teaching profession, the importance of what we're doing, that we are not just merely employees. We are not just merely fulfilling a job, we're fulfilling a mission. We are responding to a vocation. That's what we really are doing as teachers. So, if you are a young teacher looking for inspiration so that you become the best teacher you can possibly be in this new setup, the online setup, and then eventually preparing ourselves for back to face setup, then very good. This session is for all of you. I know I've said this a number of times these past days, but it's good for us to repeat it over and over. I am not just finishing a textbook. I was not hired just to cover the curriculum. I am engaged in the business of enhancing lives. That's what we do as teachers. Therefore, we should be willing to get the to get go the extra mile, to go beyond the minimum, to challenge ourselves day after day. Yung patalastas na para kanino ka bumabangon. True, we teachers, bumabangon tayo para sa mga kabataan, para sa mga estudyante who have been entrusted to our care. And I'm sure you've heard that a number of times. Those of you who have been attending the past days, you've heard me repeat it that, well, we are not given subjects to teach. We are entrusted with young people to take care of. Okay? I prefer that expression. We are given students to take care of. We are not merely given subjects to teach. That's why the truth of the matter is, ang kinabukasan ng bayan nasa loob ng classroom mo. This new school year that is about to open, realize whenever you go inside the Zoom room, the Google Meet room, the whatever classroom LMS you're using in your respective school, um, we are preparing the future of our society, of our country. It's not even an exaggeration to say, for all you know, nandyan sa loob ng classroom mo, the future president of the Philippines. How will you teach? Teachers, how will you teach pag nalaman mo na inside your classroom is someone who's going to be very influential, powerful in the future, uh, even millionaire, billionaire, and even the president of the Philippines. I know what you're going to do. Every opportunity you can get, you will talk about honesty, uprightness, care for the poor, serving society, being upright and moral. You will take advantage of every opportunity you can get to teach character, to teach for character. Such is the nobility of our profession that we are entrusted with a future inside our classroom. Mag-iiba ang ating pananaw, ang ating attitude, ang ating mindset pag inisip natin to. When we go to the classroom, we are preparing the future people who will lead the country. So, that's how important it is. And yes, kahit anong subject ang tinuturuan mo, kahit anong subject, we are in a position to form their character and mold minds. It's a profession, okay? You know, when you say profession, ibig sabihin, aba, you're a professional. That's why this is the title, the overall title of this whole series, The Professional Teacher. We are not merely fulfilling an employment, a job, a task. No, it's a profession. We are professional teachers. And here is what we read about regarding our teaching as profession. The term professional is one of the most exalted in the English language, denoting, as it does, long and arduous years of preparation, a striving for excellence, a dedication to the public interest, and commitment to moral and ethical values. That is what it means to be a professional. Hindi yan basta-basta. I mean, we are not just here trying to sell an insurance. No offense to people who are engaged in that business, because we are not just trying to make money from our clients. We are not just playing with the funds of people. We are playing with, quote unquote, playing with the very life, the very future of people. That's a big task. Ang kinabukasan ng mga kabataan, ang ating inaalagaan as teachers. We have to come to grips with that reality. Hinahanda natin itong mga kabataan for whatever profession they're going to end up in. That's why that expression, teaching is the profession that prepares all other professions. Di ba nga, lahat ng mga kabataan na sa mga classroom ninyo, sa Zoom room ninyo, sa Google Meet room ninyo, ito mga kabataang ito will be our future lawyers, doctors, politicians, businessmen. They are the ones who are going to run our economy, who are going to run our country. And that's why we have to set high standards, striving for excellence. We are preparing the future of the country, and therefore that's a public interest. And more importantly, we want to prepare young people who are going to grow not just smart, but especially upright, moral, good. Let me read to you these very beautiful words from Dr. Joseph Beyo, the first Asian teacher, Intel Excellence Award awardee in teaching. Sabi niya, teaching may not be a lucrative position. It cannot guarantee financial security. It even means investing your personal time, energy, and resources. Alam ko yan, meron tayong mga teachers na ganyan. Minsan ginagamit nila ang sariling pera nila para lang gumawa ng materials, para lang masiguradong ang kanilang Wi-Fi signal is reliable, para lang makapunta sila sa classroom nila na handa silang magbigay ng high standard classes. Sometimes it means disappointments, heartaches, and pains. And you and I have been teaching for many years, na experience natin yan. Yung bang you correct a student with a in our mind, ang gusto natin kasi itong batang ito kailangan lumaking disiplinado. Aba, uuwi ang bata, magsusumbong sa nanay, pinagalitan daw siya ng kanyang teacher at ang nanay lulusob. Ay, teka muna, shouldn't you appreciate what I'm trying to do to your son? Shouldn't you be in fact grateful that I am trying to assist you, Mrs. So-and-so, Mr. So-and-so, in raising your child to become a good, upright person? Pero bakit parang kasalanan ko pa? Disappointments, heartaches, and pains. Naranasan natin lahat yan. Those of you who have been teaching only for a few years, kahit kayo, you have not been exempt. I know you too have seen disappointments, heartaches, and pains, even in the short time that you have spent inside the classroom. But touching the hearts of people and opening the minds of children can give you joy and contentment, which no money could buy. Money cannot buy that. These are the moments I teach for. These are the moments I live for. Young teachers, especially new ones, if you can have that engraved in your mind, I am not here simply to earn money. Of course, you will earn money. You're going to receive a salary for the work that you put in. Not as big as businessmen and company owners, and but the return is very high as well, because 10 years from now, 20 years from now, students who pass through your classroom will look for you during alumni homecoming, want to shake your hand, look you straight in the eyes, and be able to tell you, Ma'am, sir, thank you very much. I am who I am today because of you. And that's when we realize it's been worthwhile after all. It's been worth all the sacrifices, all the pains, all the disappointments. And I tell you, some students who are giving you a tough time now, challenging moments inside the classroom now, 20 years from now, may be your biggest joy, the source of your biggest encouragement, realizing that all the hard work I put in 10, 20 years ago have borne fruit, because now this person that I used to correct, that I used to reprimand, is now upright, moral, good, productive member of society, making a difference in his own way, in her own way, in the real world. And all because the teachers never gave up on them. We never gave up on them. So, a message to all of you, especially young teachers: there will be challenges, there will be disappointments, there will be pains, but please, it's worthwhile, especially if we look 10, 20 years from today and see that, oh, that person would not have been that good if I was not stubborn enough to remind him often about hard work, about kindness, about responsibility, about being respectful. All the things that we do today will have a bearing on how they are going to be in the future. And so at this point, we religious would have to say, thank you, teachers, for the courage. Thank you for choosing this profession, which may not really be immediately rewarding. I have to qualify that. Not immediately. hindi mo kagad makikita yung fruits of your labor. Sometimes you do because biglang itong batang ito na problematic because you corrected the person, you talked to the person, you sat down with him, with her, aba, is now totally different. Hardworking na, hindi natatamad-tamad, very courteous na, very respectful. That's the brave teacher, able to bring about change in the lives of their students. But even if we don't see the immediate change, courage, bravery tells us, let's continue on. I'm sure it's going to bear fruit. Sooner or later, this person is going to change. This person is going to be better. Don't give up on any one of them. In my 34 years inside the classroom, I've seen it, I've experienced it. Some of the worst, quote unquote, worst students we have inside the classroom now, 10, 20 years later, blooming to be the most responsive, the most responsible, the most hardworking. I've experienced it even from among my classmates. I've had classmates in high school who ended up in the rehab um, drug drugs rehabilitation center. I had one classmate who was like that, who even got kicked out in second year high school and ended up in Hawaii Rehabilitation Center basement case. I think that's the worst kind of rehab center you can have. Basement kasi he was put in the basement and tied to the bed. And then the doctor would come every hour, by the hour, para injectionan siya ng pampatulog. Kasi every time he is awake, he is craving for drugs. He was craving for drugs. So the only solution para matanggal sa sistema niya yung craving is to keep him like a vegetable, gulay. Keep him always unconscious by making him be asleep until such time that he wakes up and he is not craving as much anymore. Then we can proceed to other procedures. That's the worst kind of rehab you can ever imagine. But today, he is a very responsible, married father with one daughter and hardworking, running the company of his family. And many times in our Viber group, our batch has a Viber group, he is the one who always talks about, hey guys, let's pray for an end to this pandemic. Hey guys, I heard about the death of that friend. We have to offer prayers for the soul of the, and we have to pray for the family. Wow, he is probably now the most mature, responsible in our batch. Let's not give up on any one of them. In fact, the reason why students come inside our classroom many times is because they are carrying a candle that is not lighted. And they are telling us, Ma'am, sir, please light my candle. I don't want to be in the dark anymore. Please help me. Good job. So please don't doubt yourself, teachers. I know many of you are saying, grabe, hindi ako nakapagturo ng kasing galing last year because of the online setup, as well as I was teaching previous to that in my many years inside the classroom. And sometimes we feel bad about it. Don't feel bad about it. Last year was irregular, as this year will continue to be irregular. But believe me, you are still making a difference in the lives of your students. Just by the fact that you continue teaching, just by the fact that you have not given up, just by the fact that you are doing your best to grapple with technology, just to continue being able to teach, just being able to continue making an impact in the lives of your students by itself is a very powerful lesson already. I tell you, 20 years from now, these online classes you're doing with them may be what they will remember very distinctly, very clearly in their mind. And then they will remember you for not having given up, for still continuing to teach in spite of the challenges. Here is a beautiful, almost like poem from Dr. Harry K. Wong about you. teachers. Teacher, you are a poet as you weave with your colorful magic language a passion for your subject. You create a vast and grand mosaic of curiosities to imagine, secrets to unfold, connections only to begin the cycle of learning. Isn't that what we are doing when we are trying to teach, trying to make the students understand, trying to make the students learn? That's an art. Teacher, you are a physicist as you bring magic, logic, reason, and wonder to the properties, changes, and interactions of our universe. Teacher, you are a maestro, a master of composing as you conduct and orchestrate individuals' thoughts and actions from discordant cacophony into harmonic resonance. That's what we do. Especially if you think about when they entered my classroom at the start of the school year, they were like this. After teaching them English, science, math, Filipino, they are already like this. There's a big change. They are better. I have composed a masterpiece out of those rough edges of the students, rough character of the students. It's almost like magic that we are able to do something like this. And think about it, ano pang ibang profession ang kayang gawin ang ginagawa ng teachers who mold minds, form character, impact lives. There are not very many jobs that are capable of doing that. I know another one. I know another one that is capable of doing that. Parenting. Yan ang ginagawa ng mga magulang. To the point that their children, many years later, can tell their parents, Mommy, Daddy, maraming salamat. I am who I am today because of you. Don't you realize that is also what many times we hear from students during alumni homecoming? 10, 20, 30 years later, they will come back and they want to shake our hands, look you straight in the eyes, and be able to tell you, Ma'am, sir, maraming salamat. I am who I am because of you. They may not say it in that way. They will say it in the way that they know best. They want to hug you during alumni homecoming. That's what I see most of the time. Students who come back to school and they cannot help but be very expressive in their show of affection, especially to teachers who made the big difference in their lives, especially to the class advisors who bent backwards for them, who went the extra mile for them, who treated them with love, with caring. I've seen it happen. You, young teachers, one day will experience it if you are an effective, an ethical, an excellent teacher. Teacher, you are an architect as you provide each student a solid foundation, but always with a vision of the magnificent structure that is about to emerge. That's the power of a teacher. Teacher, you are a gymnast as you encourage the contortions and gyrations of thoughts and the flexing and strengthening of ideas. That's what we do. Teacher, you are a diplomat and the ambassador of tact and sensitivity as you facilitate productive, positive interactions among the multiplicity of personalities and cultures, beliefs, and ideas. You know, uh, itong pandemic, na-realize ng maraming parents, ay grabe pala ang ginagawa ng teacher. Ako, isang anak lang ang aking binabantayan. O kahit na tatlo pa, o kahit na lima pa yan. Because of this studying from home, work from home, and online classes. Now, what we used to do inside the classroom, disciplining, calling the attention of the students, getting them to get to work, getting them to do the work, do the workload, the sit work, the assignment, the test. Now, it's the parents who have to do that kasi wala na yung mga bata sa loob ng classroom. And the parents are now beginning to realize, grabe palang hirap ng ginagawa ng teacher. Ako nga, isang anak lang, or tatlo, o kahit lima pa. Ang teacher, 35. Minsan, 50 pa in a class. And yet, the teacher is alone and has to do all that. Getting them to keep quiet, getting them to pay attention, getting them to work and work hard on a sit work, getting them to prepare for a test, for an exam. Ang hirap pala. And I hope many parents now appreciate, wow, the hard work that you and I have been putting in for the sake of children who are not even our kids. Ni hindi nga natin sila anak. Pasalamat kayong mga nanay, mga tatay, you're doing that kasi you have to do it, anak mo yan eh. Pero itong mga students entrusted to our care, and yet we treat them like our own children, and yet we study all sorts of strategies to be more effective in what we're doing. Teacher, you're a philosopher, as your actions and ethics convey meaning and hope to young people who look to you for guidance and example. So, all these, we are. We are a diplomat, we are a gymnast, we are an architect, we are a philosopher. Such is the importance of the work that we do. That's why we say it's a vocation. Hindi lahat cut out for being a teacher. In my 25 years as administrator, I've been a teacher for 34 years. But 25 years of those, I served as principal of intermediate school. I served as vice principal of high school. I served as coordinator, religion department chair. I've served as administrator. And really, I tell you, I have seen teachers come and go. Some didn't even last a month. I've seen that. Ni hindi niya nakayanan ang isang buwan and then had to quit. He is not cut out for teaching. Some can finish the school year, pero yung tipong, sige na, patapusin na lang natin yung school year. And if we had a choice, we would have preferred to say, Mr. Reyes, sige na, umalis ka na. Kasi nakakasira ka lang sa mga kabataan. Dinadala mo lang sa classroom yung sungit mo, yung problema mo sa bahay. Hindi ka pwedeng teacher. You have to go. And how I wish administrators will not have to get into trouble with DepEd, with Department of Labor, with the Department of Justice, because teaching is more than just an employment. Some are cut out for it. Some are called for it or called to do it. They have the vocation. Some are missionaries of teaching. They have the mission to do it. But there are some really who are not just cut out for it. And how I wish schools should be able to easily tell a teacher, papalitan ka na namin. It's very easy to look for another replacement. Pero hindi. That's not the case. Many times it's so tough, difficult to get the right person to be a teacher in our school. So let's appreciate the fact that we have been hired, do the best we can to be the best teacher we can possibly be there, and then may it become more than just an employment, a mission, a vocation, um, a task that has not just been looked at as a job, but as a purpose even in our life. Okay, Harry Wong is the best classroom manager, classroom management trainer in the world. Thanks to his book First Days of School, which has sold more than 5 million copies all over the world. And many ideas now that we're going to look at came from Harry Wong. He talks there about this, the big idea. Your key, your success during the school year will be determined by what you do on the first days of school. And as we are now preparing for the opening of the new school year, for the first days of school, we have to keep this in mind. Kasi his principle is that what we do in the first days of school will determine how the rest of the year is going to go. Okay? And so it's good for us to know the science of the first days of the school. College professor Douglas Brooks videotaped a series of teachers on their first day of school. Looking at the recording afterward, he made a startling discovery. The ineffective teachers began their first day of school by covering the subject matter or doing fun activity. These teachers spent the rest of the school year chasing after the students, disciplining them, getting them to listen, to pay attention, to keep quiet, and to. So, immediately we are saying here, sabi ni Harry Wong, please don't right away get into the lessons. Don't, um, like as if your job on the first day is to entertain the students. There, um, fun activity. No, our job in the first days of school would be to set the tone, to lay down our procedures and routines. Even in an online setup, you will have to make very clear to your students in the online setup immediately from the first meetings what you expect them to do, how you expect them to follow your course, to attend your classes if it is synchronous, how you want them to do the asynchronous activities, how you want them to fulfill the requirements that are listed in your course as part of the course requirement for your subject. Lay down the rules, make it clear to them what you want them to do, because that is going to determine now how the rest of the school year is going to happen. The effective teachers, on the other hand, he discovered, spend time organizing and structuring their classrooms. Now, apply here their online classrooms so the students knew what to do in order to succeed. Do you want them to submit on a regular basis? Do you want them to submit on a specific day every week all the required materials that they're supposed to be working on? At what time do you expect them to submit? When you say Friday, does it mean Friday dismissal time, 4 o'clock? Or do you want them to have all those submissions in your inbox or in your messenger or whatever it is that you are using? Make it very clear to them. And then um, your procedure is as soon as you submit, between 9 in the morning and 12 noon, I will reply to those submissions with the acknowledgement. Thank you. I have received your submission. This is to acknowledge it. Regards. And then the name of the teacher. So that if they don't receive that acknowledgement, either the email of the student went to the spam folder, because it happens, right? Or maybe kala nila na-send na nila, yung pala hindi pumasok kasi nandun pa sa outbox nila. Therefore, they don't expect, I mean, you cannot reply to them saying that I have received your work. And your procedure is that if you do not receive my acknowledgement receipt saying that I have received your submission, please make sure you email me in the afternoon to check. Sir, I submitted. Were you able to receive it? Sir, I submitted this morning. Did it get through to your inbox? Or uh, it might have gone to your spam folder, sir. Kindly please check. I submitted it this morning. You should have this clear procedures, routines, and you have to make them do it over and over until it becomes a routine. Very much like what we discuss in classroom management. That's what we're going to do next week. Talk about for 2 hours classroom management strategies on how you can get the students to do what you want them to do without you ever having to resort to shouting, screaming, yelling, getting angry, getting upset, having to write an angry email. No need. So, first days of the school year, online or face to face, this is key. Establish consistency in the first days. For example, ang agreement ninyo is synchronous class tayo every Tuesday and Thursday, 3 o'clock. Okay, be consistent. Yung 3 o'clock na yon, do you mean 5 minutes to 3? I need you to log in. Make it very clear to them. And then I'm going to check attendance at 3 p.m. And then if you cannot make it because something goes wrong to your Wi-Fi with your connection, no problem. Just make sure you get to watch the recording of our discussion, the recording of our synchronous class. You will just have to do it asynchronously this time and be responsible for what you missed. No need to wait for me to tell you, please find a way of watching the video. It's your responsibility. And better yet, if, for example, you happen to be absent, in our synchronous session, please be responsible enough to ask your classmates what you missed, your classmates what we talked about, your classmates what you need to prepare for if there is any submission that has to be made. Better yet, we talked about this yesterday, organize them into buddy system. Each student has a buddy, and if they happen to be absent because of a problem with connection, they have somebody to contact, to get in touch with, to be able to get help, to be able to get support. We talked about that yesterday in effective online teaching. But you've got to be consistent that you will tell them, I will open the online classroom 5 minutes before 3. We'll give everyone time to get inside within those 5 minutes. And please do your best to get in before 3 o'clock because there can be suddenly technical difficulties. Yung pala hindi ka connected in a stable way. So it's not like you're going to lose time. You have to start by 3 o'clock with whatever you need to do, discussion, activity, or group work. Effective teachers teach classroom management procedures that create consistency. This is what we need to do in the first days of the school year, online or face to face setup. And then, a well managed classroom is the foundation for learning in the classroom. That's according to research. The number one factor governing learning inside the classroom is the ability of the teacher to manage the class. And even in an online setup, the same thing happens. How the teacher is able to manage the class is what will bring about learning. That your classroom management will enable you to make sure the students do their asynchronous requirements, that you are able to make them do group discussion, that you are able to get them to produce outputs in groups, not individually, but in groups. And you group them according to tasks. I remember talking about it yesterday. Teachers, wag nating sundin yung mga maling gawain sa ibang eskwelahan na sasabihin ng teacher, okay class, count off 1 to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All ones grouped together, all twos grouped together. That are 5 members in each group. Here is your output. Make a diorama of the 20th century plaza, or make a video about Jose Rizal's two novels, or you group them and then you gave one task, one output, and guess what? Only one will work. The one running for valedictorian. Tapos, bibigyan mo sila ng grades na pare-pareho kasi ang ganda ng ginawa ng valedictorian. You don't even know that the four did not contribute in any way. And yet, all of them get the same grade. Siyempre, kasi yung valedictorian, hindi siya papayag na mababa ang mabibigay na grade sa grupo. So, he will do everything na lang. Ako na nga lang to make sure we get a good grade. And the four others are happy to always tandem with a valedictorian student because they know they can count on him. And then you, as a teacher, you reward all of them with the same grade. That's unfair, that's unjust, that's unacceptable, and that is wrong. Pedagogically, we should never do anything like that. And yet, it is happening in some schools. Not in your school, but in the school, in your neighboring town, in your neighboring city. It's happening. It's wrong, and we have to put a stop to it. So, group work means, okay, class, I'm going to group you into threes. Every group will have three members. Bakit three? Kasi yung isa gagawa ng PowerPoint presentation. Yung isa mag-present. Yung isa has to be ready to answer all the questions that I will ask during the presentation. Malinaw, everyone has a role to play. Everyone has a concrete task and will contribute to the group output. Yun ang collaborative learning, cooperative learning, not the scandalous group work that happens in some places. So, it's the teacher who is able to manage that, who is able to manage the distribution. A well managed classroom is the foundation for learning in the online classroom or in the face to face classroom. Let's continue on with what Harry Wong tells us. Student achievement at the end of the year is directly related to the degree to which the teacher establishes good control of the classroom procedures in the very first week of the school year. So please don't be in a hurry to jump into chapter 1 class. Welcome to our school year 2021. Please take a look at your chapter 1. Let's discuss the lesson. No, wait, teka muna. In the first place, make the students feel comfortable in this new environment of the online setup. Get them to be familiar with, okay, can you try using the chat box? Type in the, you're getting them to feel first at home in this setup, in this online situation, in getting them to familiarize themselves with all the features that are available in your LMS. That's part of this. And then you will tell them, class, every time we have a synchronous class, I want you to, and then whatever your procedure is. Do you want them to always turn on their videos? Do you always want them to be muted? When do you allow them to unmute themselves? When do you allow them to open their videos? Or when do you require them? All these are part of procedures which we have to make clear in the first day or in the first days of our school year, of the online school year. If you already put all these things in place last year, still you need to review them in the first days of school as we open a new school year, this 2021. Those of you who attended our session on classroom management have already heard this, the four stages of teaching. But because we are here to inspire the new teacher, we want to bring up, to review. Next week, when we tackle classroom management, how to get the students do what you want them to do without ever having to resort to shouting, screaming, getting angry. We will talk again about these four stages of teaching. Harry Wong said, lahat ng teachers dumadaan dito sa apat na stages na ito. Stage number 1, fantasy. The ones who fall into this especially are the new teachers who decided to become teachers kasi ang akala nila they're going to save the planet, they're going to save the universe, they're going to be the inspiration of their students, they're going to make an impact in the lives of their students. Very nice, which is true. We can do all those things. The day before the first day of the school year, naalala natin, nakasampay na yung ating susuotin. Planchadong planchado. And then, nakaprepare ang ating unit plans, ang ating lesson plans. Pati yung jokes na ibibigay natin, nakaprepare. Yung gagawin natin every minute, nandun. Motivation, exciting the student about the lesson. Yan, pinaghandaan natin. Tapos ang akala natin, the students will love us, will make us their favorite teacher, na pagsabi natin, okay class, time is up, we have to end the class now. Ang akala mo, sasabihin ng mga bata, no ma'am, we want more. Fantasy. Okay. Fantasy ends, sabi ni Harry Wong, the day you enter the classroom and as you are delivering that lesson that you prepared hard for, may makikita ka, tatlong bata natutulog sa klase mo. And it can happen even in an online setup. Makikita mo, parang asan yung mga estudyante? Bakit nawala? Andyan ba kayo? Can you magparamdam kayo? Parang kinakausap mo yung multo. Ano? Pwede kayong magparamdam? Can you turn on? So, fantasy ends the day, for example, tutulugan ng estudyante ang pinagandaan mo. And then you enter the second stage called survival. Let's read what Harry Wong said regarding fantasy. Many neophyte teachers have the naive belief that to be a successful teacher, all they need to do is relate and be a friend to their students. Sir, madali yan. Kakaibiganin kayo mga estudyante. I will go down their level. We will speak like friends. They rarely talk about standards. They rarely talk about assessments or student achievement. Ang concept nila of teaching is entertaining students with activities. That's fantasy. Okay? So, as I said, fantasy ends the day the teaching becomes more challenging. The students become more challenging. The am I being effective? Hindi ko na alam tuloy kung ano nangyayari. You enter the stage called survival. Harry Wong describes survival this way. Teachers in the survival stage have not developed instructional skills. They spend their time looking for how to keep the students busy, like completing worksheets, watching videos, doing sit work, ayan. Anything to keep the students busy and quiet. Student learning and achievement are not their goals. They teach because it's a job and the paycheck is their survival goal. So, para bang yung unit planning, di ba? Objective of the day, to survive the day without ever getting angry, without getting upset. Survival. And very sad because Harry Wong explains, minsan, some teachers, after the class, in the survival mode, they go back to their faculty room and then nagbibilang doon 35 more days before Christmas break. Yan, survival. Pag in-announce na walang klase on the July 20, uy, sila ang pinakamasaya. Mas masaya sila kaysa sa mga estudyante because then they can rest. They can get rid of students who get into their nerves. They survival. And very sad, minsan, teachers stay in the survival mode for a long time. Pagbalik sa faculty room, ang binibilang nila 22 more years before retirement. Surviving. And here are teachers who who join the teaching force because they want to make a difference in the lives of their students. Very sad, but it can happen. Pero you continue teaching. Like last year, we were trying to survive. It was almost survival mode for everyone, for almost all the teachers. But you learned better ways of doing things. You learned more effective ways of doing the asynchronous and synchronous. That's when you enter the third stage called mastery. Sabi ni Harry Wong, this is the description of mastery. Teachers who know how to achieve student success employ effective practices. These teachers know how to manage their classes, even online. They teach for mastery and they have high expectations for their students. Effective teachers strive for mastery by reading the literature and going to professional meetings, attending online webinars to get better in their craft. Student learning is their mission and student achievement is their mastery goal. You've reached the third stage called mastery if you are doing these things. But we are not just interested in making the students learn. I've already announced earlier, we are in the business of enhancing lives. We need to reach stage four, which is called impact, that our students will become better human beings because we teach them. Harry Wong, effective teachers make a difference in the lives of their students. These, the fourth level, the fourth stage of teaching, those who reach it, these are the teachers to whom students come back years later and thank them for affecting their lives. To make an impact on your students, you need to use effective teaching practices. A student learns only when the teacher has an appreciable impact on the student's life. When you reach this stage, you have gone beyond mastery, you have arrived as a real teacher, the professional teacher. And this is what we want to be able to achieve. This is what we want to be able to reach. So, those are, according to Harry Wong, the four stages of teaching: fantasy, survival, mastery, and impact. I would like you to watch this video to inspire us a bit about our job of impacting the lives of our students. It's a principle that you, I'm sure, have heard many times. Values are caught, not taught. Values are caught, not taught. People catch from our example, from the way we carry ourselves, from the way we deal with the students. So, in the same way, they're going to learn professionalism. When they catch it from our own professionalism, they're going to learn kindness in the way they catch kindness from us, in the way we treat them with kindness. Okay, new teachers, here are 10 things that you should know. And we have to learn, we have to teach new teachers in our school, those that are entrusted to be our mentees, or um, those that we are supposed to train. Here's number one, and I've already mentioned it earlier: classroom management is key. There is that study that was made, um, spanning 50 years. It's a 50-year study. They tried to find out what are the top traits of effective teachers. We will tackle this in the session next week on better classroom management. Um, 2 hours of that on strategies for classroom management. And I'm going to talk there about that study that was made that spanned 50 years on the effective teacher. They study the qualities, interviewing thousands of people, teachers and students. Ano ang mga qualities na nakita mo sa effective teachers that you've had? As I said, spanning 50 years. And then they collated the results, and the top three that appeared, number one is this one. An effective teacher has effective classroom management, has good classroom management. So teachers should learn classroom management. In fact, one of the studies I've read showed that it's failure in classroom management that is the number one reason why teachers leave the profession. It's failure in classroom management that is the number one reason why some teachers leave the profession, or why some teachers do not survive the teaching profession. Kinain ng buong buo ng mga estudyante because they lost control of the class, they lost management of the class, they lost. Um, they are unable to discipline the class. But it's not about disciplining, it's about managing. Here's number two: build a classroom community. Your job is not just to cover the curriculum. Your job is, I mean, you have to realize that teaching is not just about finishing a textbook. It's about building a community. It's about creating relationships. For education to be effective, it has to be personal. The students are not just merely class numbers. So I know it's tough to memorize so many names, but it's one of the most effective ways that we can build a classroom community when you are able to call your students by their first name. That's why make it a procedure. Class, I need you to change your profile name in the Zoom call, in the Google Meet room. Please make sure your nickname and family name appear. Okay? Not the complete name, because I want to be able to call you by your nickname. So I don't want to say, Epitacio Reyes. Can you answer the question? That was, no, no, it doesn't sound good. Uh, Jong, Jong Reyes, please, can you try to give an answer to the question that I posted? Yan. And then you require everyone to call each other also by their nicknames, not by their family names, because your task, your important duty there is to create a classroom community. You cannot create a classroom community if you say, class number two, answer the question. There's no relationship there. I know it's going to be tougher, but it will help you succeed as a teacher and enable you to build a classroom community. And this also means that you will have to find time to be able to connect with them outside of the usual lecturing. It's tougher given this online setup, but it can be done. It can be done because for education to be effective, it has to be personal. Otherwise, what's the point of calling for a synchronous class? What's the point of teaching in the first place? All the things they need to learn can be downloaded already in the internet, sometimes even in a more exciting way. Teaching math, for example, all the modules that you need to teach in math are available online, and some of them through games, through interactive apps and websites. So, your job now is to create a community, even an online community. That's why we will also talk next week about this, the effective class advisory, but more than just advisory, teachers creating a class culture, class identity, and class mindset. That's creating a community. That's being able to make them all think as class, not merely as class numbers. They are not merely screens there in your Zoom room. They are human beings. Every single one of those students is a thinking, feeling human being. All human beings want to feel important, welcome, connected. And this is the reason why teachers, we have to realize this online setup is making everyone feel isolated, a certain feeling of isolation. It happens to everyone, to teachers as well as to students. More than ever, we need to make them feel connected. Teachers, more to math than measurements. You will be evaluated as teachers. And it's not just about numbers. You will be evaluated based on your professionalism, on your punctuality in submission of requirements, in your being able to comply with all the submissions that you are given to pass or to submit or to produce. We all will be evaluated, and it's good for young teachers, first year teachers especially, to know this. So do the best you can to be able to comply with all the requirements your supervisor, your principal, your coordinator will give you, because all this will have a bearing on our evaluation. But don't just comply with a minimum. Go beyond the minimum. Be the professional teacher you are, that the school would like to retain you, that the school will start looking at you as a valuable um, member of the team, member of the faculty, and even better, that you actually become like a piratable, piratable teacher, member of the faculty that the school now would want to take care of, because they don't want to lose you. Your school doesn't want to lose you. That's a professional teacher. That's an excellent teacher. And that's an ethical teacher. But mind you, if we are not excellent, if we are not ethical, the school can reach a point where they say, hindi bali na, patapusin na lang natin yung school year. Hindi natin i-renew yan. At wala siyang habol kasi wala siyang permanency anyway. Wala siyang, um, we have not granted him his permanency. I mean, it's a very sad thing. It's a painful thing to be let go, to be fired because there's no excellence and there's no ethics. Uh, by ethics here, we mean that every school would have what we call code of honor, rules and policies about what they consider to be an excellent teacher, to be an ethical teacher. We have to make sure we do not ever do anything unethical, plagiarism, um, attacking the school, criticizing school supervisors, posting things in the internet that are inappropriate. I mean, all these things, I'm sure, are found in your faculty manual, faculty handbook, HR memos. We learn them and then we abide by them. And again, without staying in the minimum, we go beyond them and show our school that we are ethical, excellent, worthy of being retained, and even being well, given positions, given responsibilities, because they can count on us. Here's another tip. Here's another thing for young teachers to keep in mind. Flexibility is critical. And we already saw this in the pandemic. We needed to be flexible because suddenly, March 15, 2 years ago, we were told, oops, ECQ, walang lalabas. Ay, teka muna, hindi pa ako tapos ng chapter 13 and 14. Flexibility is critical. Suddenly, we were told, finish the school year online, finish the school year in whatever way you can by connecting with the students from home to do the internet, to do whatever means you have available, whether it's Google or whatever LMS that may be available. It's critical. And mind you, the pandemic kind of um, unexpected things can happen even in an online, even in a face-to-face setup. Pumutok ang bulkang Mayon, walang pasok for 2 days. Nagkaroon ng bagyo, binaha ang Metro Manila, walang pasok, 1 week. I mean, naranasan natin yon in the past, no? Yung biglang one whole week, hindi natin ma-meet ang ating mga estudyante. Kudeta in the 80s, we experienced that. Biglang walang pasok. Flexibility is critical. I mean, world has to move on. You cannot say, oh no, delayed na tayo ng 5 chapters. Okay, flexibility is critical. We will have to find a way that the students are still able to learn what they needed to learn, even with those class disruptions, even with those class cancellations. And they can, because then we have a website for the class. I post announcement there. In lieu of our class that we missed today because of the typhoon, please go over pages 29 to 34. Answer the following questions. When we meet again, I assume that you've already done these things. Critical that we are flexible, that we are creative. Um, I don't like it when I meet teachers na para bang ang kanilang ginagawa na lang is naghahabol na lang lagi. Uy, we're delayed. Kailangan tayong maghabol. Uy, now we're behind by 2 chapters. Kailangan maghabol. Para bang wala nang ginawa kundi maghabol. I mean, um, but it doesn't have to be that way if, like what I always do with my class, kahit anong class, ang hinahawakan ko since the 1990s when we already have internet. Nung una, ginagamit ko pa multiply.com. Tapos naging googlepages.com. And then now, Facebook page, Facebook group, so that even if you have cancellation of classes, no problem. I'm connected with my students. They're all in this group. And I can always post there announcement. Please read pages 29 to 32 because we cannot meet this today because of the typhoon, because of the. And then part of the flexibility is understanding as well that some of the students may actually not have access to internet because of typhoon, because of flooding, because of no electricity. And we are going to be very, very forgiving, understanding, and yes, flexible. Flexibility is critical. Teachers, not everything you need to know can be found in the manual. There's nothing mentioned in the manual about what to do if two students are sleeping in your class. You will have to learn it on how do I go about it so that my students do not sleep in my class, are excited about my class, are motivated to listen, to pay attention. And many of the things that we need to do inside the classroom, I assure you, they were not taught in the schools of education. Not everything that we need to know to be a good teacher inside the classroom, inside the Google Meet room, inside the Microsoft Team Office room. Not everything is written in a manual. Not everything was taught to us. Even if sabihin natin, we had 5 days of training for online teaching. I assure you, there will be certain things that will happen that were not taught in the training that cannot be found in the manual. There's no manual. And so a lot of work will have to be done by you, learning, relearning, discovering new strategies, exploring new, better ways of doing things so that we become better and better teachers. Minsan nga, bakit ganon? Yung announcement last week, ganito. Tapos biglang this week, hindi na pwede. You get confused. Yeah, because many times you will have to be left on your own to use common sense, to use your own sense of survival, your instinct for survival. Here are more things to keep in mind, dear young teachers, dear first year teachers. Mentors and summers are integral. If you don't have that system in your school, mentoring system, every teacher is assigned a senior teacher that you can consult, that you can ask advice from, that can help you and will even observe your classes. If you don't have anything like that in place as a system, no one is stopping you from approaching any of the senior teachers, the more expert ones, and say, Ma'am, sir, can I have you as my mentor? Can I consult you for certain things about class teaching? And I'm sure good teachers, senior teachers, are just too happy to be able to help, to mentor. So, as I said, if it's not in place in your school, go do it on your own. Look for a mentor that you can consult, that you can go to. And it this teacher may not necessarily even have to be a teacher in your own school. Of course, ideally better if someone in your own school, because he or she would know better how things are run in your school. But no problem if you know someone from another school, a friend of yours that you met, and you know that she is a very good teacher. And then to have that person as a mentor. And then summers are integral. Summers are there for us to be able to recover all the strength and energy we lost throughout the school year that has just passed. That summer is a very good way to relearn things. Don't wait for your school to organize inset seminars for you. There are so many that are available. You know, I'm part of many Facebook groups named free webinars with free certificates. And every so often, you're going to see there's so many available seminars for free because that's the name of the Facebook page with 75,000 members. Itong isa with 25,000 members. And those people share available webinars that are free. And they even come with certificates. take advantage of them during the summer on your own without waiting for the school to dictate on we will have this, we invited this speaker. There are so many available for us. They're integral for a teacher who wants to be an excellent one, an ethical one. Here's another thing you need to keep in mind: literacy affects everything. Some of your students may be having a tough time, very difficult time, not because of their problem with math, not because of their problem with the internet, but because they have problems with reading. And so you will have to find way, kahit anong subject ang tinuturuan mo, especially subjects that will make the students do a lot of reading. Social studies, that's not reading, but you make them do a lot of reading. Of course, literature, languages, they they all have literacy requirement. But whatever other subject where you ask them to do reading, don't assume that because this student is already in grade 6, this student is already in grade 8, that he has grade 8 literacy level. I've seen it happen. Students in high school, you go deeply, more deeply into what they know, and you realize, wow, ang literacy level nito is grade 5. Kailangan kong address yung problem na yon before I can even make him appreciate social studies, history, World War II, Philippine Revolution. I mean, we cannot even make a headway um, in any of those things if in the first place, problematic ang kanyang reading skills, ang kanyang literacy. So, sometimes we may need to get the parents to collaborate with us. Ma'am, sir, please tulungan ninyo siya sa bahay. Make more materials available so that he can develop his literacy. Make him do reading on his own during weekends. Supervise more his computer games time. Maybe he needs to remove some time for computer games so that he can spend more time for reading, because we need to prepare him for entrance exams, which many times is half of it is about literacy. I mean, half of it is reading and then answering. How can he even answer if his reading skill is problematic? Literacy affects everything. Whatever subject you're teaching, we may need to look into how to help the students improve their literacy. Then, teaching, things just get better and better. Even in your school, even now. Sure, we may be trapped in this situation. We will have to do 2021, 2022 school year online. But hang on, next year is going to be better. If not better pandemically, but you are going to be better in managing online classes. You will have gained more new skills, better ways of doing things in this online setup. Hang on until next year. And this is what's so beautiful about teaching. Teaching, we are given chance every year to start again. I mean, what other jobs can you find where every year is a fresh new beginning? Where never mind how you did last year, let's make this the best school year possible. Let's make this the best school year ever. Last year, we had difficulties with the online setup because we were grappling. Now we know better. Now we know more features of the LMS. Now we know better how to produce good quality videos that we can prepare so that the students can do more asynchronous exercises. Hang on until next year, because we just either get better and better, or even our school gets better and better, or this world is going to be better. With the vaccines, hopefully, we will even, maybe middle of the school year, this school year, we will start seeing um, limited, but at least partially face to face classes coming back and being allowed again, because more and more people are safer in spite of this virus because of vaccines, because of better science or whatever it is. Hang on until next year. When we discussed the nobility of the teaching profession, I had to show this to the teachers, and we need the young people, the young teachers, to be aware of this. Here are some reasons why teaching is the noblest of professions, and why, therefore, it continues to be noble even in the online setup, therefore, making us more ethical and more excellent teachers. Here's number one: teaching imparts knowledge. And yes, believe it, you continue being able to impart knowledge even in the online setup. You continue to be doing a noble job. You continue to be fulfilling a noble profession. That's what we teachers are. That's what we do. We are really coaching our students to not just win the game, but to win the test of life. I've heard that many times. I don't teach math. I don't teach science. I teach life. When a teacher says that, he knows what teaching is all about. He knows the meaning of making a difference, impacting lives, changing the world through teaching. Here's another reason why teaching is a noble job, because we imbue hope. We teachers make the students see that, uy, hindi lang hanggang diyan ang buhay mo. Ang dami mo pang magagawa. That's why I'm teaching you. That's why I'm preparing you for life. That's why I want you to be successful. It's hope that we are giving kahit anong subject ang tinuturuan mo. In fact, teaching by itself is a sign of hope. The reason why you're teaching is because naniniwala ka na matututo ang mga bata, that they're going to learn, that they're going to be better, that hindi lang hanggang dun sila, marami pa silang magagawa. And that is the nobility of the teaching profession. And we continue doing that. We continue doing that now, even in this online setup. Such is the nobility of our profession. Here's the other one. We actually teach morals and values kahit anong subject ang tinuturuan natin. Sabi ko nga kanina, teach like as if you're preparing the future president of the Philippines. And how will you teach the future president of the Philippines kung alam mo na ang mga estudyante mo are going to be future senators, congressmen, and president of the Philippines? Every opportunity you can get, kahit walang kinalaman sa subject matter of the day, you will talk about values, morals. You will talk about the need to always do the right thing, to correct your students when they need correction, correcting, that you are going to even reprimand them in a way that they will become better if that is what they need. That's what we are. So I can say every teacher is a moral teacher, is a value teacher. That's why sabi natin ito, character formation is not just a subject. Hindi lang yan subject. It's what every good teacher is trying to do, forming the character of the students. First, to our example, and then to our words, and then to our timely advice, timely reminders, even timely corrections. Number four, in the end, teachers build character. Kaya napaka-noble ng ating trabaho. Number five, we educate the children. We want our students to know the difference between right and wrong. Kahit anong subject ang tinuturuan natin. That's why we even talk about, uh, class, please don't even think about cheating. Science ang subject mo, pero you talk to them about, in the exam next week, please prepare very well. Don't even think about cheating. That's what a good teacher does. Excuse me. Let me drink my water a bit. Here's another reason why teaching is such a noble thing. We encourage effort. It's not just all about grades. In fact, napansin ko, if it's just all about the grades, ay nako, you have students who resort to cheating kasi running for valedictorian. And the competition is so is tough. It's so stiff. By 0.01 lang na lumalamang yung salutatorian. And so they get into cheating. No, we are not just after the grades. We are after them becoming better and better. And the effort is what many times counts. Pero kung ang lagi lang nating ina-emphasize inside the classroom is the grades, the top 10, the those who are honors, ay talagang parang ang makikita nila, it's all about the grades. No, a good teacher and acknowledges that, John, you were not in the top 10, but I saw the big improvement from last test na you did not pass to now that you are getting 80s. Good job. Keep it up. You can do it. You see? I see that you can do it. Hindi siya top 10, pero he obviously put in effort and we encourage that and we put value to that. That's why minsan in recognition days, I prefer to give more emphasis to most improved students than to those, meron tayong kasing ganyang estudyante, di ba? Kahit little studying lang, abay, lagi namang nag-first honor eh. Lagi namang nakakapasok sa top 10. Even if they play more video games than these other guys. Kasi sadyang matalino. That we have to be their cheerleaders for those who may not be geniuses, but the effort that they put in is so praiseworthy. And many times, what the students need more than anything is encouragement. Encouragement so that they develop self confidence, so that they start believing in themselves. I've seen so many movies like that about teachers planting the seed of self confidence that made the person bloom to be exceptional because of one teacher or another who gave that encouragement. That is what we teachers have to become. More than graders, we have to be encouragers. We have to be the cheerleader of our students, never giving up on them, keep on telling them, kaya nyo yan. Just spend more time. We improved already in the last unit test, but I know we can aim for everyone passing, and not only everyone passing, but even many more being able to actually get 90s. I had a class where I encourage them, go for perfect score, and they will do it. They will work on it. Grade 5. I was class advisor of grade 5 for many years. And many times I found myself having to play the role of cheerleader. Kaya nyo, class. If all of you start preparing for the test next week, not next week, not this weekend, but start preparing now. Finish all the readings, do all the exercises, and go for 100% in the test. And I've seen it happen where you have a big number of students actually getting perfect in the score. And it's not because you lowered the standards, but because you all pulled them up and they all felt challenged. They all felt encouraged, nurturing self confidence, fostering team spirit. And I've given so many strategies in the past of how to get the class thinking team. We're going to do that again next week in the session on class advisory, creating a class mindset, class spirit, um, forging that kind of team mindset that we are all in this together, especially when the teachers are able to say things like, class, I expect best behavior because you are carrying the name of our class. That's team spirit. where they will now stop thinking only of themselves, but they will start thinking as a class. We carry the name of our class. I expect best performance because you carry the name of your class, fostering team spirit. Number nine is cultivating love and friendship. In the end, successful teachers are successful because they do things out of love. They love the students, they love the job that they have been given, that the mission, the vocation that they have received, and they love the idea of making a difference, impacting lives, um, leaving a mark in their students. I think there is a video that follows after this to put us in the proper disposition of really, I want to make a difference in the lives of my students. I want to create a difference. And then motivating constructive behavior among our students. Okay, dahil ang pagiging nanay hindi lang nasa dugo, kundi nasa puso. Sabi ni Ma'am Diana, bakit nakakaiyak ang mga videos? So, syempre, that's the only way to get inspired. Eh kasi ang title natin, Inspiring the New Teachers. Inspiring the teachers. I mean, think about it. Really, we are like uh, another parent to our students, right? Um, Sayang po, may parang nagka-problema sa sound kanina. I hope bumalik yung inyong sound. I hope you can hear me. Are we okay? I have to apologize because unexpectedly, biglang nagkaroon ng digging ang DPWH right in front of our house. And this is very distracting for me because I could hear it. But I hope the noise reduction is not disturbing you as much as it is disturbing me here in the in the room. Anyway, so okay, meron tayong sound. Great. Advice for new teachers from veteran teachers. Here are what veteran teachers are trying to tell the younger ones. First, about dealing with students' behavior. Please don't take everything personal um, when students start misbehaving. Okay? Every student has a history. Don't assume anything about your students. Don't judge. Don't stereotype. Try not to take things to heart because some students will test you and try to challenge you. They are testing boundaries, not necessarily being personal. You and I have been students also once, right? I mean, we were students in when we were younger. Naalala ninyo, meron tayong mga classmates minsan, nagcha-challenge sila how fast or how quickly they can make a teacher cry, walk out, or give up. 'Di ba? We've had students like that. But they're not doing it on a personal basis. They're doing it to challenge themselves. I mean, there are students who are like that. But okay, if we know classroom management, they will not be able to even reach base one in their testing of us. That's why, sabi natin kanina, really, key to success is effective classroom management, procedures and routines. It's worthwhile learning them, short of telling you, if you're not registered for the classroom management next week, please find a way if that is what will make you effective teachers. I know it's a rerun. The reason why we keep on rerunning it is because it's the most appreciated. It's one of the most appreciated modules we have on how to get the students um, to do what you want them to do without having to resort to shouting, screaming, and yelling, and how to put in place procedures and routines, and how to put in place a system inside your room of being able to manage the students, because stop disciplining, start managing. You don't need discipline if you know how to manage. Minsan parang ganito nga ang ano no, yung mga parents parang ang pinapasa sa atin is Nagpapakain tayo ng buhaya with the with the kind of attitude, discipline that we sometimes see among our students. Ay, hindi. It doesn't have to be like that. Be flexible. If a teaching, learning moment occurs, follow it up. If the students are not engaged, try something else. So these texts that I'm going to flash on screen were directly lifted from advice of veteran teachers given to young teachers. I mean, veteran teachers were asked, if you have one advice to give to the new teachers, what would it be? And these are the compilation of what they gave. Be passionate and enthusiastic in the classroom, in the Zoom room, in the Google Meet room. It will be appreciated by students. Show that you enjoy being with them. Don't be afraid to be yourself. Okay? But a very important reminder, and somehow I've mentioned a bit of it earlier, a bit of a reminder to the teachers, especially to the young ones, especially to the new teachers. Don't try too hard to be popular. Don't try too hard to be liked. You are not there to be liked, to be popular. Because I've met teachers like this. Para bang tumatakbo sila sa popularity contest? Parang they are trying too hard to be the favorite teacher of the students. No, that's not your job. You will become the favorite teacher if you are excellent and ethical, and if you are professional, and if you do your best. And they see it that you are doing your best in being able to impart knowledge. If you are enthusiastic, if you are genuinely a caring teacher, remember that quotation: students don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Then they will pay attention to you. Then they will appreciate you. Don't demand respect, earn it. Respect is not required. I mean, you cannot tell the class, I expect you to respect me. No, show them. And they will respect us in the first place if we respect them, that we don't resort to insulting, to sarcasm, to hurting words, hurtful words, to judgmental words. No, they will respect us if they themselves see that we do our best to extend that respect to them, and then we will earn it. Remember, each child is precious, and so sometimes the children that misbehave are the ones who need us most. Make school a happy, safe place for everyone, online or face to face. Here's another tip from experts, from the veteran teachers. Lean on your colleagues, especially the senior teachers. They have lasted years and years there. You have a lot to learn from them. Lean on them. Don't sweat the small stuff. Learn from your mistakes. There are things that will go wrong. And be open and honest with other colleagues. Talk about successes, but talk also about areas that you need help. Get ideas. That is a great sign of a great master teacher in the making. A great master teacher in the making, sabi ni Harry Wong, is someone who is always on the lookout for things to borrow, to steal, ideas to copy from master teachers. Go ahead, even ask permission to observe how senior teachers do it. Learn from them, borrow their ideas, steal their strategies, and start using them in your own classroom, because they would not have lasted that long in the profession if they don't have anything to share. Lean on your colleagues. Uh, they will know how to go about dealing with an impossible student. Minsan may ganyan tayo, di ba? May dinidescribe tayong some students who are just impossible. But many other teachers have managed to survive with those students, have managed to discipline or able to even help those kinds of students. Learn from your colleagues on how to go about doing it. Don't go it alone. Find a mentor. We mentioned that earlier. Someone willing to share their experience and who you can go to for assistance. You don't have to reinvent the wheel to be a great teacher. There is a lot to learn from others' experiences. Very beautiful advice from one expert, especially along the way in your teaching. You can get confused about how do I do this? Why are my students not motivated? Why are the students complaining always about the assignments? Learn from your colleagues, especially the senior ones, the master teachers. Teaching is all about building relationships. Build relationships with your students, build relationships with your colleagues, with your fellow teachers. Here are pieces of advice from experts. Family, school, and community partnerships really do strengthen student learning, build social capital, and the trust of parents. And this relationship building will really assist you as a teacher. Here's another advice from an expert. Remember, the kids need practice to succeed. Be patient. They will get it. If they don't, change your approach. Remember, if the kids trust you, they will believe they can succeed. Never give up. Building relationships is paramount. Learning just won't happen without them. It may feel like a distraction from learning to show your care and interest in your students, but ultimately, this is what empowers students to feel comfortable enough to be vulnerable in their learning. So, please, I mentioned earlier, don't start your school year first ever meeting online immediately going into the lesson. Build a relationship by getting them to know you better. And then you getting to know your students better. So this thing of okay, let's start the class. I want to get to know you. I'll answer the following questions. Who are you? How long have you been in our school? What are your hobbies? What are your favorite? I'll give you each 1 minute to introduce yourself. So that's a good way to begin. Not immediately, okay, my name is Mannrentoy. I'm your teacher in Latin. Bring out your book. I know you have your textbook with you. Open to page 5. You immediately get into like as if you're dealing with robots. I mean, why did they have to log on to your room if whatever you're going to teach them are already anyway in the textbook? E di sana inasynchronous mo na lang and gave them instruction about uh, first week, chapter 1 to 2. Second week, building relationships is crucial. Then learning will happen. Because I already mentioned this earlier, they don't really care how much you know until they know first how much you care. And the reason why you're building relationships, the reason why you want to get to know them and why you want them to know you is because you want to show them that, class, I care enough for you. I know this is very tough for all of us, this online thing, but I believe you can do it, even if we're limited by this distance, by this unable to really be able to see people face to face. Remember how important your role is. You are the teacher, you are the adult, you're the one imparting knowledge. It will be all worthwhile when you get to meet your students as adults whom you have helped to shape. Really, the biggest part, the biggest joy of a teacher is being able to meet the students that you handled years later. And you're going to see, wow, they're mature, they're better, they're far more professional than you have ever imagined them to be, thanks to those years that they were in your school. Come in with an open heart and open mind to learning new things, forming positive, authentic relationships with the students, with the staff, and whole school community. And yes, make opportunities to celebrate and reflect the smallest of successes, staying true to your ever changing belief statement of why you chose to enter what is the best profession, the best job there ever is. Okay, but finally, let's end. Take care of yourself. You're the teacher. You're a very important tool inside the classroom, inside your online classroom. You're the most important tool for the students to learn. It's not the textbook, it's not the gadget. You, the teacher, are the most important. You please take care of yourself, that you continue growing, that you continue being well, even mentally. We talk about the mental health a lot these days, and it's the teachers who have to, in the very first place, take care of your mental health. Don't be don't get into the depression that some people fall into because of this situation, because of the helplessness that we find ourselves in with this setup. Take care of yourself, because the young people need you now more than ever. The students need us now more than ever.